Hey everybody, Mr. Dave here. Welcome back to the Buckland Public Library in Buckland, Massachusetts, where dreams are made. We've got a lot of really exciting things coming up here on Fun Time with Mr. Dave, but today it's business as usual. So, why don't we get started? We'll jump right in and let's sing ourselves a song. Once again, another derivation of the Twinkle Twinkle theme. This time, it's the ABCs. You ready? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Good job. You sing along too. Ready? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Good job singing. Thanks. All right, everybody, it's time to use our hands. Today we've got a really fun one because we're not just going to use our hands, we're going to use our whole bodies. This song is the Grand Old Duke of York, and there's a whole bunch of movement in there. Let's practice. The first thing that happens is the Grand Old Duke of York marches his men to the top of the hill. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend our head is the hill, and these are the men, and we're going to march them up to the top of the hill. Just like that. And then they're going to march back down again. March back down again. You like that? So they're going to march to the top of the hill, and they're going to march back down again. And then they're going to go halfway. So we're going to march them halfway up, right around your ear. Me, I got this lovely little ledge on my hat. That's where they're going to stop. Yeah. And then we're going to sing about rolling them to the left. So the whole hill is going to roll to the left. Whoa. And then the whole hill is going to roll to the right. Whoa. You got it? The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. And when they're up, they're up. And when they're down, they're down. And when they're only halfway up, they're neither up nor down. So roll them to the left, and roll them to the right, and roll them up to the top of the hill, and roll them out of sight. That was fun. Now this next song has more movement in it. But this movement is sign language. Sign language is a way for people who can't talk with their mouths can talk to each other. Some people can't hear, some people don't have use of their mouth, and it's just a really kind of fun and cool other language. So we're going to learn a little bit with this song. The signs are rain, sun, snow, and umbrella. So let's practice those. Rain, you take your fingers and you go straight down, just like this. This is rain. Good. The next one is sun. And you take your hand and you draw a circle in the sky and then you shine it down on you. Circle, shine, and that's sun. The next one is snow. And it's a lot like rain. Your fingers go down, but instead of going straight down, they flutter down. Snow. Flutter fingers. Flutter fingers. And the one that you're going to be using the most is umbrella. Every time you hear me sing the word umbrella, you're going to put your hands together like this and then open them up, just like you're opening up an umbrella. And that's the sign for umbrella. The first verse is when the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. When the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. When the skies open up and the water comes down, when the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. And that's kind of how the whole thing goes. So do your best with rain, sun, and snow, and umbrella. Follow along and let's sing the umbrella song. When the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. When the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. When the skies open up and the water comes down. When the rain comes down, I get my umbrella. When the sun comes out. I get my umbrella when the sun comes out. I get my umbrella when the sun's real hot, and I'm looking for shade when the sun comes out. I get my umbrella when the snow falls down. I get my umbrella when the snow falls down. I get my umbrella when the snow is real cold and I want to stay in when the snow comes down. I snuggle my umbrella when the rain comes down. I get my umbrella when the rain comes down. I get my umbrella when the skies open up and the water comes down. When the rain comes down, I love my umbrella. Good signing.
Hello and welcome to the theatre. Today we have a wonderful original performance of a show called The Fancy Goblin. It's all about little Goblin and what she dreams and wishes she could be. Do enjoy the show. Once upon a time there was a little goblin named Nicknod, who lived in a cave in a mountain all alone. She was a good little goblin, a young, ambitious, friendly and kind goblin, and she loved fancy things. She had collected all sorts of pretty toys and fancy pillows and shiny objects and had them all about her cave. But more than anything, Nicknod loved to paint. She had a part of her cave set aside just for making beautiful art that she had hung all over. She painted a magical forest full of fancy people and fancy animals, and even a fancy castle where she would imagine herself going to a ball in a fancy dress and dance and eat fancy food. There were, however, only paintings. No matter how badly she wanted to do all that, she knew a goblin never would. One day, a day no different than any other day, Nicknut was running through her cave playing a game of catch the moth and chewing on her favorite beetle jerky, when something amazing happened. Nicknut jumped and finally caught the moth, always being gentle and cupping her claws so she didn't hurt it. That would be sad. She brought her claws up to her face and whispered gently to the moth.
Don't worry, little guy. I'm not going to squish you. I just wanted to say thanks for playing with me. It was a lot of fun. I hope you'll be my friend.
Nicknut opened up her claws and let the moth free with a smile on her enormous mouth. However, the moth didn't simply fly away. It hovered above her open claws and changed. A bright glow emitted from the moth, blinding Nicknut, and faded as fast as it started. Only when the glowing subsided, the tiny winged insect had gone through a miraculous metamorphosis. What hovered in front of Nicknut was no longer an insect, but a tiny dragon.
Nicknud, thank you for sparing me. I am a dragon fairy. We hide from the world and only show ourselves to those who prove to be kind and good.
Nicknut, stunned, stared at the tiny dragon in wonder.
Will you be my friend?
Yes, Nicknud, we are friends. And as your friend, I have a very special gift for you.
Suddenly, a long paintbrush appeared in Nicknud's claw. As soon as it did, the world around her swirled and changed. The dragon fairy disappeared, but his voice rang in the mystical swirling.
Nicknud, this brush will allow you to live in your ideal world for as long as you like, and make it what you want it to be. When you choose to come home, the brush will disappear, but the lessons will stay.
And as the ethereal voice faded from her ears, the world solidified around Nicknud and became a forest. Her forest! This is the magical forest she painted. She could not believe how wonderful it was to be inside the world she imagined. Nicknut immediately started off for the castle she had painted, for she knew there would be a fancy ball waiting for her there, with fancy music and fancy food and fancy guests. On her way she passed 3 pigs who were talking to a wolf wearing a bandana, and a tortoise watching a hare running incredibly fast. There was a little girl skipping down a path wearing a red cloak, and even a trio of bears walking and chatting about a meal that waited at home.
This is all so amazing. I can't wait to get to the castle. But I can't go to a fancy ball wearing this.
Nicknut looked down at her ruffled short skirt and her plain shirt and leather vest, and sighed. She needed to look fancy for a fancy ball. Then she remembered the paintbrush. She imagined in her mind what she wanted her fancy dress to look like, then started painting the dress. And it magically appeared, a beautiful pink and pale lavender dress with pearls on the bodice that flowed and shimmered with every movement, perfect for dancing, and very fancy.
Perfect. Now I'm ready to go to the ball.
She started making her way through the forest towards the castle, but the dress kept getting underfoot, and she almost fell several times. She persevered, however, and found her way to the castle. There was indeed a fancy ball, filled with fancy people slowly dancing to fancy music. Eager though she was to join in and show her goblin dance moves, she was famished from the journey and found her way to the buffet. Excited to finally get to try fancy food, she sampled a little bit of everything, and slowly realized that, as good as the fancy food was, she really liked her beetle jerky better. Having partaken and being satiated, she eagerly joined in the dancing. Goblin dancing is a raucous and spirited dance, where you jump and spin and roll on the floor, considered to be the most exhilarating form of dance by many. And Nicknut knew she would impress the guests. However, when she tried to jump, her flowing dress would cover her face, and when she tried to spin on the floor, the pearls would catch and dig into her ribs, and when she tried to roll, she fell flat on her face.
Whoa!
Nicknut realized that, even though the world she thought was perfect and everything she ever wanted was very nice, she actually really enjoyed being her goblin-y self more than anything, and was ready to go home. She looked around and smiled at the guests, who all seemed concerned at her fall and wanted to make sure she was all right.
I'm fine. Thanks everybody for checking. I had a lot of fun and I had a great adventure, but I think it's time to go home now. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Suddenly, the world swirled around Nicknut once more and solidified into her warm cave once again. And then the brush disappeared into nothingness.
Hello again, Nicknud. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, I did. It was so wonderful seeing all those things I imagined come to life. But then I realized I missed being a goblin. I like being a goblin. I like me for me. And dresses are not good for goblin dancing.
The dragon smiled warmly at his new friend and said that he liked her for her as well. And then he disappeared.
Bye, Dragon Fairy, and thanks.
Emboldened by her adventure in her paintings, and eager to assert her new-found taste for exploration, Nicknut packed her satchel and started off for a small village she had heard of to the northeast of her mountains, and on to more adventure, as her goblin-y self. The end.
Wasn't that a great story? Thanks, Arnold. That was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. Thank you for joining me here at the Buckland Public Library in Buckland, Massachusetts, where dreams are made. and I hope to see you again really soon. I have one more song for you. My favorite way to say goodbye is not goodbye to you. Not adios, arrivederci, sayonara, or adieu. My favorite way to say goodbye, the best way that I knew. My favorite way to say goodbye is to say that I love you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Woohoo!